Welcome back to Made Up of Wires. We're decompiling Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Hope everybody had a good New Year's, and your year is starting off well. Mine has started off busy. I mentioned plenty of times on the stream before that the internet connection in my house is not the best, and I was working to rectify that, and I worked very hard to rectify that. I spent the last 3 days or so installing media enclosures, running power, running a fish line, so that this morning Cox could come out and install fiber internet to our house. And they got there, and the technician said, "Did they leave a fiber drop outside the house?" Nope, they didn't. And in fact, I think they might have come and tried to work on it, but they broke the conduit instead, and the technician had to leave because the prerequisite work wasn't done. So, another stream on crappy internet. Happy New Year, Dig Down Deep. Good to have you back. I do have, before we get into decompilation, that's what we're doing. We're decompiling Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Yesterday, I got an email from the Game On Expo, and I was accepted to do a panel on decompiling Castlevania Symphony of the Night. So if you are in the Phoenix metro area in early April and want to say hi, or just want to know more, stop by, and hopefully things go well. They'll probably go about as well as the stream. Dig Down Deep, no, it's not you, it's me. I'm sure this will be a rough stream. The internet has been super rough here, and it probably will continue to be today. I was given an ETA of 3 to 5 days. Yeah, that's right. No, the new internet connection is because the old one is so bad, but the old one will continue to be bad. So yeah, anyway, early April, Game On Expo, more Symphony of the Night decomp discussion, but live. More live than a stream, I guess. In person. So if you're interested in Symphony of the Night decomp, go to soten.z.dev where you can learn more. We were working on Outer Wall, and we spent some time last week playing the game a little bit and finding some of the functions. I don't remember where I was on this function. It's been too many days, it's almost a week. I noticed that this function was basically done, but then there are some relatively egregious errors. So I'm going to try to get to those, and then we can keep going. So I think what it appears is that the skeleton ape is missing some. This name looks like it was renamed, and I'm gonna take a guess. I was thinking about this a little more over the weekend, just kind of in the back of my head. This entity that's associated with the skeleton ape, this is actually the skeleton ape barrel, I think we determined. Let's go look at that. I also noticed this morning, and I was too late to catch it between dealing with ISP issues and all that. Yeah, it's called Unknown Entity here. I don't know why it is partially renamed here. Oh, yeah. Now I remember what happened. I did a search and replace, and that search and replace went poorly. Anyway, I noticed Nate the Great went live on a stream this morning, and I missed it about, or I saw the notification about 20 minutes or so after the stream started, and maybe a little later than that. But I was too late and I missed the stream. So Nate the Great, if you're on, sorry I missed your stream, and hopefully I catch the next one. Kids are back in school, so life should be a little simpler. All right, so this is the barrel function that we had finished. What I wanted to do is look at this unknown entity, because I think that this entity is likely the barrel. No, the barrel is our current entity, sorry. The entity is the ape entity itself. And so it may or may not be worth stepping through this. Yeah, I guess I'm not quite sure. Looking back through this. Anyway, we can keep going and move on to something new. So we had gone through a bunch of these, and let me check my branch. And added a bunch of comments about what these things are. So let's go and look at this elevator activation function. That was somewhat interesting, a little different from the normal entity stuff that we had been working on previously. Let's see, I want to look in ASM US, STN01 non-matching. And we'll make a new. I should update my hotkey to switch to this tab. I think I'm going to regenerate my context as well. Should I do that or not? There is it definitely is not without peril to regenerate the context, but I think it might be a good time to do that. So there isn't much yet in this file. So the context should be relatively clean. I'm going to look at N01 and see what is here. I guess I'll build it based on N01. So to make context, you have to set the source, and the source is going to be this N01 in Vim. When you're entering a command, that can be the percent symbol. And I'm calling the context target. And that will give me an updated context.c, which I'll copy and put into decomp.me. I always have some issues when I generate the context, but we'll see. Roaming, appreciate the Prime Gaming. I have something exciting coming eventually from across the globe that is thanks to the support of everybody who streams or who watches, subscribes, likes, and all those things. Okay, so this is the elevator, or the function that gets executed when the elevator switch is activated, and it looks like it's structured a little differently than what we normally see. This may be the text. If I remember correctly, there's text that appears that says elevator activated. We do have that text actually, the LMS step, whatever that is. I thought there was another string in here. There's a timer. But we could see what this is. All right, so we have a couple functions that we don't have signatures for yet. I will look for those and see if those have been decompiled yet. It's possible that these are smaller functions as well, and maybe we should decompile those first, but I'll look for those and see if anybody has gotten to that. And I should actually just double check that. So that one is not not been decompiled. I just want to double check that this one has not either. And it doesn't look like it. I'm pretty sure my branch is up to date, but I will double check that. And yes, that is the case. All right, so that one, nothing there. And then the other, so the comment that we made last Tuesday was that this was being called when the elevator, just the second call when the elevator is activated. So we know that this is something in that that's called by this function. We can go down and see if we can get any additional information. So we have a bunch of calls to this. We probably have to look at the data there to figure that out. It's maybe beneficial to start with this one, and then we can back into what these data types are. Maybe not, but I'm going to save this and pull this other one. So I'm going to create a new scratch here. A bunch of these that I should be deleting. All right, so this is a nice simple one. As usual, simple is not always easy, and long is not always hard. This one seems like it may be relatively straightforward. So we have a pointer to some integer value. I think we can rewrite this like so, but this is not wrong yet. So what the issue is it looks like down here. Okay, and it seems like M2C just got confused because of the optimization. So I think this is greater or less than, oops, or greater or equal to, sorry. And yep, look at that. Nice, easy. I do want to get rid of some of these. So let's right, so what is going on here? So this is a little strange. The this var v0 check. Oh, duh, that was what I just moved. So this can go away. It doesn't. So basically, we're just taking a pointer to an integer and then checking that pointer against these other values. So this seems like not quite a clamp function. I'm going to see if I can rewrite this in the same order for my own sanity. Nope, can't do that. This logic is a little curious. Yeah, it kind of seems that way, but it's like a shift. Roaming said, "Is this a min-max clamp?" But it's like we're shifting into arg1. So if arg0 is less than arg1, we're not just like clamping it to oh, so arg1 is no, never mind. Arg1 is our max then, right? And then arg2 is kind of an increment. Sorry about that if the stream is down. Let me know if it's back. So it looks like Mr. MIDI got to this function. I want to see how long ago that would have been. Excuse me while I reconnect. If you're watching on YouTube, you don't have to deal with this, but you also can't chat live. We can't chat live right now anyway, because Cox can't figure out how to provide reliable internet service. All right. Back yet? This happens, not lying, 37 times a day. I should probably get on Twitch chat on my phone, which works slightly better than whatever this garbage is with my home internet. Wait, anything yet? Nope. There we go. That's back. Okay, we're back, and I have no viewers. All right. So I wanted to look at when Mr. MIDI decompiled this, and it looks like he did it a month ago. So let's see what his yeah. So he was just calling these threshold and offset as well, and mine is gone. Okay. Anyway, Mr. MIDI did this. So this does look like it is a kind of a ceiling function. So if we his is a little easier to read than mine was, and since I don't have mine anymore, actually let's see if it shows up in the profile. It does, but not saved. That's okay. We'll just look at Mr. MIDI's for now. So yeah, I'm not sure why Mr. MIDI hasn't submitted this yet for PR, but he provided us with nice argument names, and we can use those. So if we're below some threshold, we're going to add whatever the offset is. If we're now above that threshold, then we're going to subtract the offset. So this keeps us below that threshold, but at some increment of whatever the offset is. So if the offset's 5, we can actually look at that and see what our increment is. Our increment is just 1. But our threshold is 0. So we're saying so add 1. Then if our value is greater than the threshold, subtract 1. And then we end up at 0. So what is this function doing in practice? This doesn't seem... Without this first argument being greater than 1, this is always going to clamp to 0. Oh, I see. We're using it down here as well. This does seem odd, though, because effectively, unless these values are negative, which they... no, that doesn't matter for this because it's checking for negative values. We're just, in this first set of calls, we're just forcing this to 0. But then down below, we are ramping up to either 128 or 64. And then some others based on the variable. All right. So I do think like it's kind of a ceiling increment type function. Thanks, roaming. I will see if All right. Does that look like it's working again? All right, so we have one function, and now let's look at the other. Our temp S3 appears to be a primitive, and that was captured. Let's grab that one as well. I think this function is in here as well. So this is another function that gets called seemingly only during elevator activation. Let's... Yeah, that's possible. So Mr. Mindy's pointing out it could be, hey, take down deep. You didn't like my my spelling of ceiling, but it could be a linear smoothing. All right, so be a good doobie and check. So this is interesting. The only argument this function thinks it has is this primitive. However, when decompiling the method that we started with, or function we started with, we get all these additional args, and that's because the compiler was using registers A1, A2, A3, and the decompiler couldn't figure out if those were actually arguments. M2C couldn't figure out if they were actually arguments or not, but it looks like it's just a single arg function. And as we get those signatures, we should get a better decomp of this. So I'm going to copy those into the context and spell correctly. And we can run a new decomp with those signatures. I don't think it'll change too much, but we should see. You still don't like it. Hey. I don't like having terrible internet, but sometimes it's what happens. Hey, YouTube. We're back. Just you and I. You and me, you and me. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Do you watch at 1.5 speed? 2x? What do you like? Comment below. Let's see. I'm going to try to chat. Okay, back in. Live, live, live. All right, I think we're back again. So I'm going to start with this adjacent function. So this is a something that's operating on one of the primitives. It looks like color-based. The my original thought, and we can go and try to find this again. I might have a save point from last Tuesday, but I thought that this might be related to the text, and so we're cycling through different colors, basically incrementing. So this is going from darker to lighter until we get to about halfway through. Not quite halfway through, a third of the way through. So it'll end up at a somewhat darkish gray. Let's go and see if I have something old enough. And I will refresh chat one more time. Thanks for putting up with the terrible internet. Oh, we might be down again. Maybe not. We'll see. So I'm gonna load up the game, and will I load up the game? Plug in a controller. And I'm gonna set this breakpoint. So this is E98. And see if I have a... So where I am now, I should have the... fairly certain the elevator's activated already. So let me see if I have a breakpoint, or a state. I think this is prior to Doppelganger. Thank you, Dig Down Deep, for putting up with all this. So what I'm expecting is this function to come up when the elevator gets triggered. Oh, hit him. So one of the things that I finished on New Year's Day and was happy about, I beat Sekiro, and that was fun. So Sekiro and Bloodborne are the only two FromSoft games that I've played, and in both cases, I stepped away from them and then had to come back. Nope, get away. I didn't even think about it, but with Sekiro, I should have managed my saves better, and I ended up not getting all the endings. Bloodborne, I think I got all the endings. And then I moved on to Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, and so far that's a lot of fun. All right, so let's see if our breakpoints hit I'm gonna step through. My thought was that this was going to be related to the text. Oh yeah, and here comes the text. And it's kind of slowly unfolding and getting a little brighter, going from at least, yes. So if we look at the right side, this is definitely darker than the left. Let's go and see the code. I didn't notice if alpha was being set. It doesn't look like it. I'm going to go back and look at this as well. This is only being called one place. And so we know that this, well, I'll get a new decomp in a bit. So it's being called every frame, but let's go back and look here. Is this looped at all? It's possibly looped. Let's see where block 19 is. Yeah. Okay. So this is looped, and I think we'd have to see whether or not we could look for an allocate primitive. There's 32 primitives being allocated for this. That's way more than there are letters. $18 letters, 19 letters with the period. But it does look like this is related to the fade-in. Which two dig down deep's saying that at AGDQ. So they're not doing the any Sutton randomizer tournament this year at AGDQ. I thought Eldritch and Dragon Blitz and et al. Often ran something. Okay. So Dracula X and Portrait of Ruin. That is interesting. I've no background in speedrunning either of those games. I've tried to play so Dracula X, being the more modern version of Rondo of Blood. Is that correct? Yeah, probably down again. It looks up for me, but definitely dropping frames like crazy and in offline mode. I'm going to pause. Emulator. Portrait of Ruin, I'm trying to think how far. I don't think I beat Portrait of Ruin. Is that what I have? Oh, my DS is in there. I started playing something. Yes. I started playing Portrait of Ruin and have not finished it. Portrait of Ruin is Jonathan, and that's not Soma yet, right? Anyway, so let's work on this. Like I said, I think it's related to the words fading in. I'm going to go through and just start cleaning this up. When there are things like this that are go to block 6, go to block 6, that seems like to me it should just be the end of this else. And then we can get rid of a bunch of this. I don't know if so scratch seems to be fine, but it doesn't know that it's fine. So I'm going to try to reload it, or scratch, sorry, decomp.me. Scratch on the brain. All right. So mostly I think this is going to be just getting rid of superfluous variables. There's a few things here, like this var v0 getting set to 1. That seems unnecessary. So there is a case where this is returning, and I see I got rid of it. So I think that's this case here, and yeah, that cleans that up. This var v0 doesn't need to be set, and then prim r3 can just be set inline. So let's see what else is broken. Any of these cases where a variable is being set and then assigned to the field, more likely than not. I switched over to how I was doing background music, and apparently I got a voice line from Nightmare Creatures in there. A couple of them. Get rid of those before I continue. I hope you like snakes, though. All right, so whenever this var v03 is getting set, I'm just going to change that to the assignment directly, and that should clean that up. And likewise, this var v02, and that matches. So this is still a mess, kind of like the others. And then that stopped the music when I did that. We can change these to just greater than 60 instead of greater than equal. But this one I'm going to change to less than or equal. And oh, that one didn't match. There we go. And let's see if there's anything else here. There's a bunch of these casts, which are all unnecessary. So yeah, I think this is just cleaning up a bunch of stuff here. and this one should slot in pretty easy. It doesn't have a lot of dependencies, or it doesn't have any dependencies. So getting it to compile should be pretty straightforward. There's a bunch of these as well that could be plus equals. And that looks pretty good. There's these are unnecessary, the modifiers, because these are already unsigned values, so the comparison is going to be unsigned. I'm going to step away for a bit, and I will be back in a few minutes. Stand by. All right, I'm back. So, yeah, I mentioned that I was playing not Sands of Time, not Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, which is certainly in the Metroidvania genre, and it's pretty good. There's, I think I would like if there was a little less distance between a lot of the fast travel points. There are some reasonably annoying areas, and this may or may not be a spoiler, but you get double jump way too late, in my opinion. But other than that, it's been a pretty good game so far. So my preference for colors, and maybe this is a bad preference, my preference is not to use hex values for colors when they're individual colors. Is it, are people more likely to know the hex values from decades of CSS and HTML? I don't know. I prefer 0 to 255 personally, but that is just my opinion. I think this is pretty good. I think all these can go away. And so I think they should slot right in. E98. Pretty easy one. And that is a match. So I'm going to make some comments here. If we get to the right spot, there is I think somewhat interesting thing that I may or may not have talked about it on the stream before. We can throw a party because we got a match. Don't throw the party enough. Somehow I'm supposed to be able to do this. There we go. I'm supposed to be able to do this with a reaction, but I don't know. I don't know what Apple's looking for. Okay, so this method that is being called for the text likely references what we refer to as a SOTN string. And instead of using ASCII encoding for strings, I'm trying to think at this point, would ASCII have been de facto? Yeah, probably, because Unix had been around for, what, 15 years at this point. But instead of using ASCII, and admittedly, like, this was originally made for the Japanese PlayStation, and so they probably were considering that as opposed to, and so shift-JIS is the encoding used for Japanese characters at the time for an 8-bit Japanese encoding. But the text strings are zero-based arrays into characters, and so we have some macros and some outside processing of those strings that converts them into converts them to and from UTF-8, and that makes writing when you have to encode those much easier. I'm trying to see if I can find where those might be referenced. That will probably come out a little easier when this is untangled. So let's untangle it. All right, so there's I'm going to refresh this page and see if that helps. I'm going to get a new decompilation with the updated signatures. But it looks like I may or may not have a connection. There we go. Oh, and it refreshed on me. We'll get it. Oh, I didn't save before refreshing, so let's fix these again. Definitely save often. So this does return an integer. The other returns nothing and takes an integer pointer. Nowadays, I don't know if we would do this taking a pointer to an integer that is being mutated as opposed to just returning the value. I suppose it saves a register write, but in place of the register write, this is going back to main memory and doing all these writes back to main memory, and those have to be committed before the function returns. So I think it's a poor trade-off instead of just working on local register variables and then returning that value and having a single place where it's written back to main memory. But for reasons, that's not how this was written. I didn't write it, I just have to deal with it. All right, now we're back at the function I originally wanted to work on, and let's fix these compiler errors. So there's a bunch of these. I'm going to just make these assign 32. Assign 24, that's interesting. You don't really see that very often. And I'm a little surprised that we have that data type at all. Yeah, it is undeclared. So that must be something M2C knows about that I don't. Looks like there may be one or two others. In this case, the decompiler may not be... gives us the general structure, but looks like not much else. There are some things that some structs that it doesn't know about. And so we'll have to help it out. This looks like it could be just a vector. That seems like a pretty safe struct. So var A3 and var A2, both being vectors. That would mean stack pointer 10 is also a vector. Oh, but var A2, it says there's a draw env. And so draw env, we know what that is. Maybe not, maybe it's not. No, it's there. So rect is in the first field. And so what's happening here is that this may just be like a memcopy type assignment. So we have, that would cover the first two 32-bit values. Sorry, clicking around too much. So the rest of drawenv, though, so this would be another 32-bit value, and then we have another set of 32-bit values. So either this is not a draw environment, or something else is going on. I may be losing the stream again. We'll see. It's odd that these are at 32-bit offset. Oh. let's look at this. This may be this may just be a mem copy. I think that's what's happening, is that var a3 is also a draw environment. And so this probably looks like this. Okay, a few other things. 152. It was casting as an unaligned. I'm not going to worry about that right now. That's would be a keyword in a more modern compiler. We're at 1990s C programming. So Entropy Gravity Well, good to have you. Mentioning that we're doing first world C programming. Even that's a stretch with me behind the keyboard. First world C programming, third world internet. So, we're looking at 1995 to 1997 for a lot of this C programming. So if you looked at the internet then versus now, I would have been on dial-up. My siblings would have been picking up the phone while I'm connected, and then that would disconnect me. So it's probably pretty similar. Very similar experience to what it would have been like in the 90s. Dial-up modems are still a thing. They're using fax machines. Amazingly, people still fax things. And I have some in a box. When I come across them, I think, ooh, should I keep that or should I get rid of that? So we have some unknown stack pointers. To get rid of the errors, I'm going to just be dirty and comment these out. Oh, yeah. Entropy Gravity Well mentioning paying for every minute of the internet. I completely forgot about that. You'd get your 240 minutes a month of internet. Log in, download your email, log out as fast as you can. So this temp S3 appears to be a primitive, but it's accessing offset 10 in that primitive. Let me double check my my primitive definition and make sure that it's correct. So this would be offset 4, 5, 6, 7. This is offset 8. So this seems like it should be Y0 at offset 10. I'm not sure why that is. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So it's not a... I'm going to... let's look at the definition of set draw env. So it's the DRENV environment. And do we have that in... We don't have an environment in... And the 10, actually, thinking I should think through a little further. The 10 is going to be for unknown 10, it will be the hex value, so offset 16. this may be more, no. So I need something that looks like a primitive, but then is using one of the fields as a draw environment. I don't know how key to go between source and context. Not sure what this might be, so I'm gonna comment this out as well, just to get a little closer to compiling and see what might be causing that. And then last one on line 152. This didn't like my var3 declaration. And that would make it seem like stack pointer 10 is also a draw environment. There's going to be a bunch of things that need to be fixed here, and this may be a good time actually to look at. I'll try to get some of this worked out, but then look at the PSP version as well. This may be over-optimized. All right, 43%. Not good, not bad. So I want to go through some of these now and get rid of the go-tos. See if we can at least get the structure right before moving on to PSP. So I wonder if there is a straightforward way to flip this. I'm almost wondering if I do these checks. So if it equals -1, destroy entity and return. Continue. If this equals null, destroy entity and return. That seems like it might be the most reasonable way. Then what I want eventually is that this go-to is going to just fall out of the control structure that's built. So let me try doing that. Kind of looking from top to bottom. There's a bunch of stack-related stuff. Likely this temp v1 not equaling 1 may or may not change. Let's see what block 14 is. It may be as well that this was a irregular switch. So if the step is 1, we're going to go to block 13. But if any of this happened, we're also going to block 13. So I'm going to change this. Now the go to here can go away. Entropy gravity well, what do you use your fax machines for? Sending or receiving? It's such an odd thing to still use. This is actually, I think, this function doesn't seem terrible. There is a bunch here that probably can either go away or change it. Some of these are weird, these constants. They're being set, and the decompiler is setting them because that's what's happening. That's what M2 sees in the source code. But it's likely that those are just inline versions of these variables down here. And this is, I think, is going to be one of those things where it, as this gets cleaned up, it'll look much nicer and make a lot more sense. I worked at a company for quite a few years, and one of their products was a fax to email service. This was in the early 2000s when that kind of thing made sense. And it was one of the most interesting things to me about the product was that they had several patents around how to dither documents and the conversion to basically just black and white, not grayscale at all, just black and white. I'm getting a little further away. Not too worried yet about the percentage. I think that'll come around. This is, so when we're doing weapons, couple months ago, there was a lot of this primitive work there related to setting up each of the buffers for weapons as they were drawn. Boy. This is tedious, though. My guess is that these are all set up here, and they may even be all set in the same statement. I'm going to leave it in this order for now, and we can see if that changes. So it looks like they're... I was going to say... Yes. So we're going through and we're doing this... I was going to say we're doing it a couple times, but that's not true. This... we've come through and... I see. So there are multiple primitives that are getting worked on. And so all of these could probably just be prim. We're just dealing with several in line. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Maybe it is what I wanted. I do want to try generating some new code based on the Soten code base. And I might, if I have some free time this week, I might work on that a little bit. I thought it'd be neat to have the Made Up of Wires logo rendered as if it were a Soten entity. It's a pretty straightforward logo. So one thing that we could do to, I mentioned, I think that this is related to the text. It seems to show up right before, or start getting called right before the text appears for elevator activated. One interesting thing that could be done, I think it could be done with save states even, but I'm not quite sure. Because the save state probably includes all RAM. It would be interesting, I think, to go through and change the scale of this and see, does it still render as expected? And my guess is it would scale like you'd expect. But that might be a nice demo to do. Looks like too many prims. So a lot more of this cleanup. So usually with a primitive chain like this, they're all treated relatively the same way, and so you have some loop that's going through and changing something based on the loop. So maybe the X value in this case where it's letters, allegedly letters. So it's a little curious that these are all being treated uniquely. That doesn't happen a ton, but there's no reason that it couldn't. And I want to make the separation between each of these stand out. There's more of this cleanup that can be done. I don't think that there is a ton of value, though. Just doing that right now. Let's see what these other S3. So this does look like it may or may not be another primitive. I'm not convinced based on this other stuff that it is. So I'm not going to change that one. This temp S3 and S3 underscore 2, those do seem like they probably are primitives. This one coming from the primitive buffer makes it a very likely candidate. So I'm going to rename those as well. Carefully. Underscore 2 I can be less careful about. And then this bar S3 looks like it is a primitive as well. I'm going to treat that one a little differently. Maybe not. And so cleaning those up, that's actually worked out reasonably well. A bunch of this fell into place, not actively trying to get that coverage. I did mention, and I'll try to do this now, I think rewriting this as positives may work a little better. Let me see what block 19 is. Block 19 is pretty far. Untangling some of these go-tos can be tricky, and the PSP version actually is probably the better way to go about doing this. It probably has a better structure than what the PlayStation version had, but I'm gonna try it and see what happens. So basically, any of these cases that that fail, I'm going to. So this is a pretty common pattern to have something like this. I'm just going to do my best to keep the logic the same. And what I'm hoping is that this eventually falls out into the right pattern. And we'll see if that happens. All right, so now what I think rewriting this like this did was made it so that not quite. I was hoping that this would fall down into this block 13, and I could do that by getting rid of the else. Or possibly duplicating this above. I'm not sure which is the best way to go yet. So this is going to be a plus plus. We have some extension here that we don't know what it is yet. I'm going to leave that the way it is. And I think actually I'm going to probably leave it here for today. This is a pretty meaty function, but I think maybe tomorrow or Wednesday, one of the two, we should be able to get through this. It's a nice, not super challenging, but not super easy one either. Just about right for a stream. So I'm going to save that, and we can come back to it tomorrow and keep working on it. If you're just tuning in or haven't seen the stream before or want to know more, we've been decompiling Castlevania Symphony of the Night. We're working on what I believe to be the function related to drawing the elevator activated text and functions around that, supporting that function. I might spend a little time trying to confirm that, and we can look at some of the tooling for generating a custom game disk and loading that. The main issue that I can think of with loading that is I would have to, there is actually a red door not too far. I'd have to find a red door, leave, and then come back so that the assets were reloaded from disk, and I should be able to use my save state to come back and run custom code. So to kind of give some background about how the overlays work, when you go through a red door, at some point where you're running through, and Biz Murphy's been on the stream before and mentioned this, at some point in the red room, headed one direction or the other, it will see what the connecting stage is and start loading that into some known address of memory. And when you so when you have a save state in an emulator, it's going to dump all the memory to a file, reload that memory from the file and all the states for all of the different chips on the board. So just loading the save state wouldn't be enough. I'd have to leave, have another stage overlay loaded, then come back and get this stage reloaded off disk, off a custom disk, and it should show an updated version, which would be fun. And it could be something simple like just changing the, instead of the black to lighter gray, changing it to red or green or blue or some other color that would be unexpected. And that would just confirm that this is what we're looking at. If you want to know more about Castlevania Symphony of the Night, go to soten.z.dev and learn more. I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, and if you weren't here, I'm excited about it, and so want to do a little self-promotion, but I'm going to be at the Game On Expo in April talking about Symphony of the Night, and I hope if anybody is in the Phoenix metro area during that time, hope to meet you. Otherwise, I'll let you know how it goes, and I might actually, as I put the talk together, might do some of that on the stream as well and get some feedback from all of you. Every day, I really appreciate everybody who shows up to chat. You're all super helpful, super friendly. Really enjoy talking with you. So come back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Pacific time, and we'll be doing more Symphony of the Night decompilation. That's all I got for you. Adios.